Hey, what's up, everybody? Gonna go through the recap for yesterday for the model against Vegas. All these are gonna be the opening odds. So we went 7-2 on the money line, 4-5 against the spread, but we missed the first five, got the last four. So it was a good rebound, just a terrible start. And speaking of terrible, we can go to the totals. And one push, one was right, and seven were on the wrong side. So not a good day for the totals. Hopefully that'll get back today. Um, Hopefully the spreads will keep going on the W's and not on the L's. We like to win. So let's get into today's game. So we're going to start out with New Orleans at Indiana. Um, Pretty consistent for the model here. It started out bigger on New Orleans, but ever since day two, it's been right around a half a point to 1.5 point on the New Orleans side. So no no big new injuries that I can think of or that I saw when I was looking that should impact this game that weren't there for most of the week. Um, so the models like in New Orleans for the money line and the spread. You could give yourself a few more points there on the spread, probably make it a little bit safer if you wanted to try that. It's also been pretty consistent on the under. It got to within three. Right now it's sitting at four under. So the model's like in New Orleans. It is liking the under. And this is more confident than some of the games I've seen in the last few days. Those lines are pretty consistent with one another. So just a little bit on how the teams have been doing recently. New Orleans has won two of their last five. They've also won two of their last 11, or two of their last 13. They've lost 11 of their last 13 games. So the only wins are Washington and Brooklyn, which obviously aren't great teams, and they are 3-15 on the road. The Pacers are 3-2 in their last five. They had that three-game win streak against Boston, Miami, and Charlotte. So much better wins than the ones that New Orleans had. But they've only won three games out of their last 17. They are 7-16 at home, so they are a little bit better there. So if you want to go strictly on home away or something, it looks like Indiana might be better. But the model does like New Orleans today, so we'll have to see what happens. At Cleveland and Philly. Uh, Model liked Philly in the game on Wednesday night, and Cleveland led that game start to finish, won 133 to 107. Couple things different about this game: the Cavs are sitting Merrill and Garland. It looks like Garland was definitely a big key in that hot start for him the other day. He started with 8 points and 4 assists in the first 7 minutes of the game. Like I said, that game that was never really close. Um, so it still got Philly. The other day it had Philly by I want to say close to four. It's dropped them down to about 1.5. It does still like the over. So not as consistent on the over. So it started at 232 and it has gone up pretty consistently going up, but it's up to 240 now. They still have it in the market down at 233 and a half and Philly by 2.5. Without Garland and Merrill, Cleveland's really going to need Hunter, Mobley, Mitchell, Lonzo Ball, all of them to play good games. I would not expect Maxey to have such a bad game today. I know the other night I think he finished with 14 points, which is like 4 assists, so way under his season averages. Looks like they have everybody, all their stars playing today. So I don't know. If the people sitting out bother you, then you might want to stay away from this one. But I think that'll probably favor Philly quite a bit more, especially having a day off after losing so bad the other day. I would expect them to play better, but you never know. All right, so we got the Bulls and the Nets game. The model's picking Chicago, and the market is picking Brooklyn. The the model seems pretty confident on Chicago. Has them at 111 and a half points for the last 3 days. It's not very often that a team doesn't fluctuate at all. So they've must have been pretty consistent, or Brooklyn's pretty consistent on giving up the same amount of points or something in there. So the over under, the market's got it at 225 and a half, and the model is like it at 217 and a half. The last time they played, their Chicago won in Chicago, 113 to 103, so 216 points, which was under predicted and under the market for right now. That game, Porter Jr. had over 30 points. Josh Giddey had a triple double. They still came way under. Giddey will not be playing today, as far as I know. And then the Nets, I think, are without Highsmith and Zaire Williams. So Brooklyn has lost 5 straight. They've lost 8 of their last 10, and they're only 5-15 at home. Chicago has won a couple. They've won 2 of their last 5. They've won 4 of their last 6, and they are 7-12 on the road. So even without Giddey, they've been without him since the end of December, I believe. So all of this should have him missing factored in, and the model's pretty confident. So I'm not sure why it had Brooklyn favored. Maybe just because they're the home team, but if I had to pick on this game, I would probably take Chicago spread, maybe even add a few more points on this one too, get it to like a negative 200, and try to make it a little less risky. The total with these teams, I mean, neither team is great offensively or really defensively. Um, so it's low enough. I probably would stay away from that one, or try to bump it up a few more points and then still take the under. Now we got the Clippers and the Raptors. The market's got the Clippers by 2.5 and the over/under at 216.5. The model likes the Clippers a little bit more, and it likes them to score a few more points. So it's leaning on the overside at 220. Um, the Clippers are coming in pretty hot. They've won 4 straight. They've won 11 of the last 13. Their only losses were Boston and New York, but they're 6-14 on the road. The Raptors have won 3 of the last 5, 7 of the last 10. They lost to Boston, Philly, and Denver. So pretty good teams, and they're 13-9 at home. The biggest question marks in this game is going to be the Clippers questionable list, I think. So Clippers have Kawhi Leonard, Zubac, and John Collins all listed as questionable. I would imagine 1 to 2 of them will probably play. I know Zubac missed the last game. They still won without him pretty easily, but that was Washington. So Raptors will be without Barrett and Podol. When they've had Barrett out, they've seemed to struggle a little bit recently. He missed a few weeks there recently, and they weren't looking too good. Podol obviously is big on the inside, so if Zubac plays, him being out will be a bigger issue. If he doesn't play, then I'm not sure it'll be as big of an issue. And then quickly is questionable last I saw, so obviously he affects the way the offense is going to flow. You might lean more into props on this game. I didn't see a tag on Harden or Barnes. Seems it might be a better angle to go. Model here has been dipping down, kind of jumping around. Started with the orange on top, went to the red, back to the orange. So it hasn't been super confident on who is going to win, although it does have the Clippers at 4. I think the injuries, until you see a final injury report later tonight, I don't think I would touch a game line here. The total's been dropping from 230 down to 220. So if you think those players that are questionable will impact the score farther down, maybe try to take the under since it's already been dropping. If you think bench players might score more, maybe it's worse defense, then maybe you'll want to take the over. But like I said, I would wait until you see exactly who's going to play before you try to make any decisions there. You got Minnesota and Houston. The market has Houston favored by 4.5. The model has Minnesota favored by 4.5. The market has the over under at 222.5, and the model likes it at 229. So looks like Ant is out again today. There will be no Edwards playing, so That I think would affect the over under more than anything. Um, can definitely have an impact on the spread. But if Randall and McDaniel stay hot like they were last game, then I think that Minnesota can still hang with Houston here. Houston has just been struggling recently. They lost to Oklahoma City by 20 last night at home. They were 12-2 at home before that. They're now 12-3 at home. This is at home again, so they do have that home court edge that they've had all season, but they're playing on the second day of a back-to-back against a team that has won 6 of their last 7 and has been winning by quite a bit. So even without Ant and without Gobert in their last game, they won by 33 against Milwaukee, and that game was never really close. Julius Randle, like I said, McDaniels had good games. Dante added some threes, so they'll need that again tonight. They'll need Gobert to have a good game, but Houston's offense just hasn't been there. They've scored 105 or less in 6 of their last 7 games. And on the other side, Minnesota's defense has held opponents to 106 or less in 3 of the last 5 games. So very low totals on that side, with Minnesota probably not scoring as much with Ant out tonight and a better Houston defense. Um, I do think the under probably looks better there, but I do like the spread pick from the model. I do think that Minnesota should be able to cover 4.5 unless Houston just comes out firing because they're still mad about last night. Obviously, they have scorers. KD gets hot. Thompson's been really good. Shengun can dish the ball and score. So there's a lot of potential there. I think they have Eason and Finney Smith. I think are both questionable. Might be coming back tonight. I know they missed last night. So I like Minnesota. The model likes Minnesota. I would probably stay away from the total though. That one seems like it could probably fluctuate a little bit more. All right, now we got the last game, which is Washington going to Sacramento. We have a team that has been bad and has gotten worse since trading a star player for a star player that isn't playing, and a team that is getting a star player back tonight that has recently got hot. So Washington's lost 4 straight, 5-6 in their last 11, and they're 4-16 on the road. Every game Washington has lost recently, the last 4 have all been by double digits. On the other side, Sacramento has 3 straight double digit wins against Houston, the Lakers, and against the Knicks. They'd lost 7 straight before that, and they're 8-13 at home. So the model's been climbing on Sacramento since they've started winning and Washington started losing again. Washington did get hot a little bit before that trade. I think they won 3 of 4. Like I said, Sacramento lost like 8 straight or 7 straight before their recent 3-game win streak. So the model is pulling itself back up, seeing the change in the teams. So it's still leaning on the spread side of Washington, but I don't like that. I think Sacramento will easily clear that 7.5, especially getting Sabonis back. Um, 4 straight losses by double digits versus 3 straight wins by double digits, and better teams is more of what I would look at. It does have the under still from the model. It likes about 226 versus the market at 234.5. So um, the totals have actually stayed really steady right there around 225 to 229, all within 4 points of each other. So, well, I guess 223.8 was the lowest, but still all within 5 points. That's really good. Um, the difference is going to be obviously Washington lost McCollum. They don't have that scoring, which is why their line is dipping off, and Sabonis has been playing better. So how will Sabonis affect that? He's normally good for assists, some points, and a lot of rebounds. So will he slow down the game a little bit? Will he get the points up there? The model's been on the under, very consistent. I don't see Sabonis adding 10 points to the game, but you never know. So that's why they play the game. Again, just so you remember, the model does not have injuries baked into it. It gets all of the the injury information just from recent trends, rolling averages, things like that, and kind of if they're out for a while, it'll really notice. If they're just out for a game, then you might just need to factor it in for that game. So some of these injuries, they've been out for a while. Giddy, Garland, and Edwards, they are recent. Barrett's been in and out. He's been in recently, but he was out for a while. So the questionable list, I think all of those will affect the predictions from the model. Just depends on who's actually going to play and who's not. And then Sabonis just depends on his minutes. Any minutes will be beneficial to Sacramento, I think, but I don't know how much he'll get, and I'm not sure how healthy he actually is. I would imagine he's still got some conditioning to do. But my favorite pick for the day would probably be Sacramento spread. I just think the the decline in Washington and the way Sacramento's been playing recently, it, it's all looking like a double-digit win to me. It's a big spread, so maybe you want to buy a few points back or whatever. Like the bottom bullet point says, there are never any locks. Today's no different. So be responsible if you're gonna bet. This is for fun. I like to just see how close I can get my models. A lot of times, one side score will be pretty close, and the other side will fluctuate a little more. Sometimes both get really close, and sometimes they're both not very close. So it's it's hard to know who's gonna play, how many minutes. Early start or fast starts can affect a lot of things. So like I said, especially for that Clippers game, watch out for the final injury report before you try to do much of anything. Those are some big injuries that could potentially affect it if they don't play. So good luck if you're doing anything. Thank you for watching if you've made it this far. Day 3, and I'll see you again tomorrow.